Exciting times, everyone. We've just had the final pre-6.1 live letter. It's given us a pretty damn good look at how we're actually going to be playing this patch. So there's a whole bunch to get into, so just going to do that. But first, hey, we're also developing a game ourselves, The Pale Beyond, primarily a narrative, adventure, RPG elements, some survival elements too, Antarctic exploration theme, very much all written to, give you basically dialogue options that you really feel, characters that feel supernatural, puts you in the position as leader. If you want to help us out with this project, the best way to do it is quite simply to wishlist it on Steam. Really helps with the algorithm. So thanks for the support, and let's talk about 6.1. Right, April 12th, that's when it drops. So now let's talk about what we've learned. For the sake of time, I'm not just going to rehash stuff from the first live letter. All right, the new MSQ. There's some comment that it will feel initially a tad lonely, essentially a bit of a change in pace back to adventuring. And taking a look at the trailer, we do seem to have Estinian with a treasure map, so I wonder what's going to happen there. A few of the Scions back in the MSQ, but, perhaps, well, if you even look at the promo site, basically the Scions kind of, going a little bit more into the background now that we're no longer as needed. But, of course, there will be new adventures to find, and no doubt we'll learn a little bit more of what our upcoming threats are going to be. Not to do massive Endwalker ending spoilers, but you'll of course remember a very important core character toward the end basically says, hey, you haven't looked into these guys, you haven't went here, here, or here. So, could be interesting. Maybe I'll talk about that a bit at the end. No doubt, though, some old-fashioned adventuring is just the palate cleanser that we would need after the crazy heights of Endwalker. Now, this stage of the MSQ is also going to unlock the Unending Codex, which is their new in-game lore book feature. As for the side content, such as Tataru's Grand Endeavor and the Omega side quest, those are going to come in the 6.1x patches, right? So that's the little in-between patches that happen after 6.1. The MSQ and Tataru's Grand Endeavor would slightly overlap each other, so they took the decision to put Tataru slightly after that. All this does mean, though, that now is the time to do Omega. They even said so on stream, because apparently the Omega side quest is quite packed, so perhaps longer than I initially thought, which is exciting. Also, the Endwalker role quest stuff will be continuing, so if you would like to do the new stuff in 6.1, obviously you should do your role quests now. Also, Hildebrand's return is in patch 6.15, but he's actually going to be in Shadowbringers. Basically, Hildebrand is an expansion behind us, and the explanation there is that the cinematic quality and quantity increases meant that they basically couldn't really squeeze him into their Shadowbringers development, and it seems instead of racing him into Endwalker, he's sitting around on the first. They then showed off some of the new duty support system. Now, as we know, this is going to be covering the 2.0 dungeons as of this patch, but what we did not know is some of these dungeons are actually being touched up. Todorak has seen some changes, which we saw on the stream, and it seems the others have as well, so that's kind of neat. Also, the duty support system is the name of this feature. You cannot select characters, but once you hit Shadowbringers, where there's, selecting what characters go into the dungeon with you and the leveling, well, that's when it will become the trust system as we know it. We also then saw a little bit more of EX3. Basically, the theme of this is true hope versus true despair. It is that fight, but let's just say if things were very much amped up on both sides. It pretty much starts straight in, I believe, into Phase 2. Very punishing. I'm kind of scared already. Looks awesome. Dragon Song's Reprise, then, is the next ultimate, and that will drop in 6.11, which will be 2 weeks after 6.1 comes out. It seems extremely cool, very scary, and, well, yes, I'm terrified for that sort of thing. Now, as Yoshi P put it, it will feel different to past ultimates, and I don't want to scare people too much, and he went on a bit, but seems like they're really planning on doing something special for that. Next, then, we got a peek into Mists of the Realm, which is the Alliance raid series for Endwalker. Of course, unlike the other Alliance raids, this is wholly new. I mean, the Crystal Tower, that's an FF reference. Ivalice, that's Final Fantasy Tactics. Of course, the last one was Nier, with Yoko Taro coming in. This is entirely original to the world of FF14, and apparently it's going to be answering questions we've had for a long time, since 1.0 in fact, and of course, as we know, it is focused on the 12. it looks lovely, and it was cool seeing Yoshi P just, try to go around showing us off the place live, but without showing us the NPCs who are in there with us. So it looks neat. Now, difficulty-wise, it is said to be close to launch Ivalice, and after a bit of research, I found out that basically means it's going to be a big fun wipe fest early on. And, I mean, story-wise, it essentially seems to be diving into the post-Sundering creation myth, and the bosses, maybe the 12? I mean, if it's 3 sets of 4 bosses, that would kind of fit. I imagine there'll be a twist. We're probably going to come out of this, though, with quite a bit more of an understanding of the 12, likely more of an understanding of the primals as well. So it will be pretty interesting for the lore nuts. Also, they showed off some gear via a rather literal print screen, and hey, looks pretty damn awesome, but I love contrasty white stuff, so I kind of would say that. Now, they also showed off some of the Arcasadara tribal quest area, which looks kind of neat, as well as a few new mounts. There's a racing hippo, a fluffy boy, and the pod from Nier. No idea how you get that. There's also a few minions, including a toy car driven by Cutout of Nero, because, yes, of course, makes sense. This is also where parasols were shown off with their new idle animation, and also the ability for wearing both headpiece and glasses. So that's pretty big fashion potential. Now, from here, they then transitioned over to showing us the new Dream preview for the store, Dream Fitting it's called. Basically, hit up the inn, and you'll be able to try out the store items on your character. Now, they wanted this to be an unobtrusive feature, so it's just there in the inn. So basically, good news, there's going to be no, button for the store just on the menu like in World of Warcraft. Now, over to housing then. We got a bit of a better look at the Ishgard housing district, which looks pretty awesome, and then the lottery system with its 9-day cycle. So essentially, you've got 5 days to enter the lottery, and then if you win, there's a 4-day cycle for actually claiming your win by, I suppose, putting down the full sum of money. Good luck. Now, they also in the stream did show off some housing customizations. Wild ones. I mean, if you ever wanted a kids climbing area like they have in McDonald's in your house, you can have that. If you ever wanted your house to be made of gingerbread, that's here too. The madmen are going to let you do that. Now, after a quick break, they returned for a quick preview of EX3, which, yes, as I said, seems super hard. And they also dropped the key bit of info here that you'll get 2 totems per clear. That halves the maximum number of runs needed to get the mount down to, I suppose, 50, 45, something like that. So that's a pretty damn nice thing. Adventure plates then. So these are coming, but they are going to be releasing in a beta state. And they're really cool, right? Basically, it's like a little profile for your character, and they're comprised of components. And it's really good that we've now finally got a preview of it. So the various different components, like the panels, the borders, those are unlockables. As an example, by ascending ranks in the new PvP system that I'll explain later. It's quite cool, actually. So you can list what types of content you do, what jobs you prefer, and even what parts of the day you tend to play the game. And then for your character portrait, you can essentially G-pose your character whatever way you want, and then there's all the various different UI elements and backgrounds to customize it further. They've even got a permission system, which basically gives you control over who can see this, though initially it will be limited to private, public, or friends list. The likes of FC will be added later. Now you can have 20 plates in 6.1, but they're expanding that to 100 by 6.15. And there's a few other smart features too, like the plate changing based on what job you've got activated. It just seems like a really nice system, and I like the idea, especially because in FF we're so drawn to our characters and the customization is so good that you can really unlock a lot and really make it reflect like your character's journey. I just think it's a brilliant system for a game like this. PvP then. And I didn't think I'd be as interested in this, but here we are. So we got our first proper look into Crystalline Conflict, which is the new PvP mode where matches are around 5 minutes. So it's definitely quite quick pick up and play style. Now, from what we understand, the other PvP modes weren't used as much, so they've designed this to be just more of a pick-up-and-play thing for people, apparently based on play patterns. They essentially like the idea of being able to go in and quickly do something, a bit like how you can just knock out your roulettes. Now, this has involved them adjusting all job actions in PvP, and then having a limit break for all battle jobs in PvP as well. Overall, this is actually a lot of changes, and with all of these changes, adjustments to Rival Wings, the existing PvP mode, those have not been done yet, and that does mean that it's going to be deactivated until 6.2. So the Crystal Conflict is a 5v5 with casual, ranked, and custom modes, and basically in it you're split into two teams. You'll be fighting for control over a central crystal. Now if you've got more players around that crystal, you'll start to push it toward the enemy base. If it reaches the enemy base, you win. A bit like a sort of dual offense payload in TF2-ish. So there are like little stopping points along the track. And when the crystal reaches those points, it'll get locked in for a little. And that will force the aggressor to defend that area before they can move it again. And that, of course, gives the defenders an opportunity to turn the tide. And they really are serious about speed here. You can actually sprint as much as you want. Now, balance-wise, each time you die, your spawn timer will increase. So I suppose combine that with the run distance being, of course, longer the more you push. And I can kind of imagine this being both a fast game mode, but also hopefully one where the defenders, if they can put on a really good defense, can actually turn it around. So yeah, attackers, don't run in piecemeal one by one. Come on. I don't know. Maybe I'm just burned from other team games where people do that and then you lose. Anyway, it does seem like a neat system, but perhaps a bit controversial to the existing PvP players because it's very different to what they had. But certainly for a newbie like myself, it seems like something I could very much go do and enjoy. Now, one area where they're really quite modern actually is the rewards. And there's good and bad here because it essentially is a Battle Pass-like system. Obviously, no premium element to it. But basically, doing this gets you, like doing the content here, gets you PvP experience. You get more experience, you'll level up. Level up, you'll progress through the reward track. At fixed points in the reward track, you will get, the more cool things like gear, emotes, or adventure plate elements. But between those, you'll get trophy crystals. Trophy crystals are our PvP currency that you can spend in the Wolves' Den. And if you hit level 25 in this reward track, which is the end of the track, you'll get this. And this means that the WoW refugees are kind of creaming themselves because it's basically Bolvar Lich King. Which, I mean, has also raised a few eyebrows, because it really does look like Bolvar Lich King, doesn't it? But it's also pretty cool. Right, so there you go. Now, this is the reward track for Series 1 of PvP. Once the next major patch releases, it will transition over to Series 2. That will involve the reward track and your level being reset. Just like with a Battle Pass. And that does actually mean that FOMO is a concern. Now, they've tried to take the edge off the FOMO there because rewards from the previous series will be available on a vendor for trophy crystals, which is very good. But after Season 2 is done and it moves on to Season 3, the Season 1 rewards will be gone. So there is still some FOMO here. And the Discord reacts to the live translate here, I think kind of do say it, they do sort of say it all. So that's obviously a more contentious area for obvious reasons. Next then, the way that ranks work for the ranked mode. This is pretty cool. So you will ascend from Bronze 3 all the way up to Diamond 1. And after Diamond 1, you will enter the real competitive space, which is Crystal rank. Now, moving from Bronze to Diamond is basically just about accruing more like net wins than losses. So if you win a match, you'll get a star. Lose a match, you'll lose a star. But you cannot go down in rank. So you couldn't go from being in Silver 1 down to Silver 2. It's just that to move from, say, Silver 1 to Gold 3, you need to get 3 net wins. So, you could lose 3 matches and, just be at the bottom. But then if you got 3 wins, you get 3 stars, and that'll be enough for you to level up. Or, it could be win-loss, 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 win-win, loss, win-win, and then that would get you enough to be, a total of 3 up, which would get you into the next little bracket. Now, if you get past Diamond 1, you'll enter Crystal. And Crystal is where your rank just seems like more of a competitive thing because it's based on credit, and you earn credit for winning, but lose it, for losing. So that's kind of like the more very competitive end of it. Now, this ranked system is going to have 2 seasons within a series. I know that can get confusing, but basically, Series 1 lasts from patch 6.1 to 6.2. And within that span of time, there will be 2 ranked seasons. Of course, the series, which is the longer one, that corresponds to the reward track that I mentioned earlier. So, look, that's essentially it. They finished it off by announcing a Primals concert in Japan, where they have a system where there's preferential tickets for FF players, which is great, and also some Japan-only merch, and also then the art book pre-order, which will come with a Ragnarok mini. The actual book will release in September, and suffice to say, yeah, I'm pre-ordering the hell out of that. And also, an immersive audio shoulder speaker, because, yes, of course. I guess, I don't know, there's almost like, I think because, you know, they were, like, so big in, like, tech in the early 90s and 2000s, you know, you'd always see videos of, like, oh, here's James May going around a massive mall in Japan looking at the weird gadgets and gizmos. This just seems so random, but there you go. You can get shoulder speakers with FF branding. I've never used such a thing. Let me know if you have and if it's good. So overall, what are my thoughts then? Okay, PvP. Look, that shit seems super playable. Kind of like the idea of just being able to hop in and have some fun. And do you know what, right? There's a big-ass lesson here for World of Warcraft, because I really love WoW BGs. But the only problem is that the only way to play BGs with a proper reward system and, you know, gearing and stuff that is, like, fully extends for the game is to do RBGs, the rated battlegrounds, or the ranked ones, whatever. But you can only do those with a pre-made. Just having, like, an MMR, you know, some skill-based matchmaking, and being able to just hit the Q button for a battleground, I mean, that would make me play so many battlegrounds in World of Warcraft. So over here in FF, the idea that there's a ranked mode that I can just, you know, bam, queue up, play, try to be good at, try to learn, that's, like, really exciting for me. So this seems like a type of PvP that, rather than an arena system, just actually is more in line with how I would like to play PvP. So I'm really excited for this. Then for the tribal quests, I'm just interested in that because it's going to be my first look into dailies in FF. As for the answer rate, like, look, I can't wait. I'm super invested in the lore now. I want to learn more. I'm also thinking about big hints. So for, you know, a little bit of, I guess, Endwalker spoilers, 3, 2, 1, spoilers begin. Emmett Selk obviously is asking us at the end of Endwalker, like, hey, what do you know about the 12? Do you really know what's going on? Bifrost, you know, Mericidia. I believe he also hints of going to, you know, like another one of the reflections of the source. And that itself is actually interesting because I believe it's it's the VO in the trailer for 6.1, right? Where Y'shtola is talking about investigating, traveling between reflections, which then makes me think like, oh shit, okay, we're going to go to another reflection. And, you know, usually the idea of, oh, we're going to go to an alternate universe seems, you know, it's like weird in games, but because they did it so well with the first, and they've established that lore, and it's also tied into, like, well, Vana, it just works, right? So I'm really excited for that. And then also just the quantity of content here seems large. You know, like, so the MSQ, they sort of said, is like a, you know, it's pretty chunky, so that's obviously exciting. But then even that Omega is seemingly more content than I thought, that's also super exciting. So man, it's just great. Now, if you're wondering, like, okay, the patch is coming out then, is there anything I should do in the next 10 days? Or it's less than 10, it's like 8 days now. Okay, so things you should do. Omega. At the very least, watch my video on Omega. If you really need convincing, but just take it from me, do Omega. And if you're going to do that, also do Alexander and do the twinning. And then also read, is it Tales from the Shadows? The little short stories that tie into Shadowbringers. There's one of those two that you should definitely read. Do that, and I think you'll really be in a great position to fully enjoy whatever this Omega questline is. Then, if you're like me, well, you should probably do Hildebrand. I need to do that, so I want to see what's going on because people, I mean, they speak so highly of Hildebrand. I have no idea at all what's going on, so I'm very pure and unspoiled. But apparently that's really good stuff. So I think that's like some of the main things that, you know, you should do. Definitely, you know, come on, Omega, it's awesome, right? All right, so that's basically it. I'm really excited. It seems like there's a bunch of content. Also sorts of content like the Ultimate, you know, the Ultimate Weapon Unreal, where that's like just, I mean, perhaps stuff that's above me right now. You know, don't exactly have like a static, but maybe we'll get something going for the guild, because certainly the amount of excitement that I'm seeing around the Dragonsong Ultimate is massive. So I'm definitely getting that feeling of like, oh man, I need to get good so that I can do this cool shit. Because I mean, the prospect of doing EX3 is terrifying to me. And okay, it's mostly based on me getting to the light waves bit in Hydaelyn and just going, ah! So who the hell knows what it's going to be like, but hey, it's all fun. So there you go, only a few days till our next patch comes out. What an exciting time to be playing this game and to be playing MMOs in general, because between this, you know, who knows, maybe WoW's expansion will have something good when it gets, you know, revealed a week after this. Guild Wars 2 End of Dragons also seems to be super solid. It's just a bloody good time for MMOs, so yeah, let's keep it going. Okay, have a great day, everybody. If you'd like to check out the game that we are developing, if you're more into narrative games where, you know, you're kind of making choices, talking to characters, where, you know, you're in a leadership position, well, check out The Pale Beyond. If you liked, say, the stories like of the Great Explorer Shackleton, or say a TV show, The Terror, which is of course also based off, you know, real material. You know, I think you'll really like what we've got going on. Funny story, we almost ended up doing a licensed game for The Terror, but we decided to do our own IP instead. That was just a funny little tidbit from our history. Oh dear. Anyway, that's it for me. Have a wonderful day. Go do Omega, and I'll see you next time.